Okay, we're on to lesson 7.3. If you are one of my students, you will notice two things. One is we didn't do 7.2, and two is this 7.3 has a different title than the 7.3 in the book that we're using. Excuse me. And that's because this is how I teach it, and I think it works better this way. You can use the percent proportion if you want to, and if you already know how to do these problems that way, that works totally fine. And since we did come right off of proportions, it makes sense. But this way of doing it is kind of the more pre-algebra / algebra way of doing it, and so I think it works out really well, and it reinforces other concepts. And it's how I learned it when I was about this age, and it's worked for me, and it's worked for everybody I've taught for and to, and all the things. So we're going to look at percent word problems, is what we're going to call it. And we're going to solve it. Well, you'll see. Let's do some examples. Okay, so examples. Example 1. We're going to do 12 is what percent of 32. All right. So we're going to do this kind of like what we did when we were back when we were translating words into math, and we were taking words, English words, and turning them into math equations and all of that. It's going to work pretty much the same thing. So 12, of course, translates to 12, right? That makes sense. Remember, is equals. Now, when we have what percent, specifically what percent, we're going to do another one in a minute that is what number, and that's different. But for when we have what percent, if we want to end up with a proper percent, we're going to do what percent over 100. Okay. If you'll remember back, is times. So times 32. Now we're going to solve this little equation for WP. If you're trying to follow along in the book, or you're using the percent proportion, quote unquote, you'll find that the steps after this point are pretty much the same. You do the same multiplications and divisions and stuff. It just kind of looks a little bit different when we start. So the 32 and the 100 are both attached to the WP, right? So we're going to get rid of them by treating it like it's a whole fraction, right? Because we can put this over 1, right? So to get rid of a fraction, we multiply by the reciprocal, remember? So we're going to multiply times 100 over 32 on both sides. These cancel. So do those. And then we're going to multiply here as well. Because if you do it to one side, we've got to do it to the other side, right? So on this side, we're going to do 12 times 100 divided by 32. And when we do that, we end up with WP equaling 37.5%. Now, we don't have to shift over any decimals or anything in that. That's why we did the divided by 100 thing there, because it gives us this result, gives us the actual percent. That's great. Let's do another one that's got a little bit different. It's going to have the words what number in it, okay? And we'll see what to do with that. So example number 2 is what number what number? I told you. Is 15.5% of 450. Okay. So we're going to do this the same way, right? So here we have what number. So we're going to use WN instead of WP, and we're not going to put it over 100 because what number is not a percent, but we are going to say equals 15.5 over 100. See what we're doing there? What in these percent word problems, wherever the percent is, we're going to put that over 100. So we're converting it to a fraction essentially, and all those things. And of course, is times and 450. Now, the nice thing about this particular one is it's already set up and ready to go. We don't have to get anything off of the WN. We just have a cleanup phase, right? Because we multiply this can be over 1. 15.5 times 450 divided by 100. And we end up with WN equals 69.75. No big deal. Let's do one more that's really similar to this one, but kind of arranged a little bit differently. And then we'll be done with this video. Example number 3. 78 is 60% of what number? Okay, so we're going to translate 78 to 78. I know that joke wasn't funny the first time. It's not funny this time either. Is equals 60% is 60 over 100 of what number? So this one, we do have to get rid of this fraction that's attached to the WN. So we get rid of fractions by multiplying times the reciprocal. So times 100 over 60 times 100 over 60. These ones cancel on this side, leaving us with WN equals, and then we do 100 times 78 divided by 60, right? And we end up with 130. Not 130%. That if you're gonna make a mistake on this, it's putting the percent in the wrong place, right? We're looking. I didn't say that on number 2 because I didn't think about it, but here I have seen people make the mistake of trying to put percent as on the answer, but this is the number that we're looking for. 78 is 60% of 130. If we wanted to write a full sentence answer. If you're one of my students, do your homework. Be glad that I am shrinking this unit by a little bit. You don't have quite so many videos to watch. It's going to be good for you and me and everybody else and all the things. It works out really well. If you're not one of my students, thanks for joining us. It would really help if you drop a like or a subscribe on here. We are offering all of these lecture videos for free here on YouTube. I hope they're helpful. Let us know in the comments how else we can help you with your math journey, your science journey, and any other general homeschool questions. Thanks. Have a wonderful day.